Have the man. Let me see if I can put him on hold. Is that the hold button? Yeah, that's the hold button. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the president of basketball operations for the Philadelphia 76ers, who met with the media a little earlier. Trade deadline's over. They got a couple of good younger players to add to this roster. Daryl Morey joins us. Daryl, how you doing?
Mike, Bill, hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've talked. So, as you can, I'm not saying anything different. You understand that this fan base is probably amazingly frustrated for the way the season has turned out after the prospects as it started. So, I'm going to have to ask you some tough questions here. So, don't get mad at me, okay?
I like okay. Tough questions. We're all frustrated.
All right, I like it. So, I heard you say today. First of all, do you still think this can be a special season? Explain to the fans why you think that.
Well, I think when we've had our team together, which has been 7 games where they all finished the game together, we're 6-1. Hopefully tonight, it looks like we might have game number 8 tonight. Obviously, we've made our path a lot harder, where we're going to have to win a couple games, make the playoffs, and then face a very tough opponent in the first round. But to win the championship, that was an opponent we were going to have to face anyway at some point. Tyrese Maxey has improved. Paul George, when he plays with the other elite players, has been better. And then Joel Embiid reminded us why he's one of the top few players in the world with a triple-double coming back. And we like the younger, more dynamic group that we have around them right now.
All right, so we're presuming that if this team can make a move in the playoffs, that everybody will be able to play together.
So you were Jim Mora. You were doing the Jim Mora to me there.
No, I'm saying.
Playoffs.
Well, yeah, because that's what you're thinking. That still could be a special season. Obviously, get in the playoffs and do something. So, but
Yeah.
How do you come to a conclusion that the guys that can't play consecutive games will be able to play consecutive games once the playoffs start?
It's a fair question. We feel like it will be better going forward, similar to when we go back to the beginning. But yeah, we've had a tough injury run. They seem to have compiled on each other. We've missed the most star games to injury. We've missed the most wins to injury. Doesn't matter how you measure it. We've had the most injuries. We're hoping that turns in our favor. And obviously, talking to the medical staff, we feel like it will turn in our favor.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the medical staff and the approach coming into this year in a second. But you also said in this press conference a little earlier, you really had a plan, and you have a plan until you get punched in the face, what Mike Tyson says. What was this plan legit, or was it faulty when you look back? Because I looked at it early in the season, I said maybe this plan is faulty to think that these guys could all be healthy, especially your center, who wasn't ready to start the season. So why did you believe in that plan?
Well, I think it's always the question is compared to what. So first, absolutely, we feel like as a front office, we can find the players, the Yabuselis, the Justin Edwards, we can find the Grimes we just traded for. We can find these players who are better fits, and we like to put that pressure on ourselves. What you can't find is a Joel Embiid or a Paul George or a Tyrese Maxey. We absolutely believe in going for the better players, even if they have more of a chance to be out than other players. I think we have experience in Sixerland with having players that are available consistently but aren't quite good enough to win the championship with. I will take the better players who have some higher degree of a chance to be out than less talented players. The NBA history is 60, 70 years long that shows that that's the right way to go. And obviously we've hit the downside. We've hit the low end on injuries this year, but part of it has been positive. Yabusele emerges, Justin Edwards emerges, Jared McCain emerges. Like, he might not have emerged if we and so I strongly believe that putting the right role players around Paul, Tyrese, and Joel is a championship core that we can build with.
All right, but your anticipation that they're good players, you have to also put it in the equation. Will they be able to play? And so let's go back to Embiid at the start.
100%. But compared to what?
Well,
someone who's always available but is materially worse. You won't win the title that way. So we're focused on winning the championship. That requires multiple elite talents, and the only alternative to the path we were on would be to have less talented players who are more available. That will not win you a championship. This one has a chance. Obviously, it has a lot of injury challenges. We've been through that. But it has more of a chance than a team with a bunch of less talented players as your elite guys more available.
Okay, I got that. That goes with us. That's very logical. But you had evidence that they weren't going to be healthy. I mean, I talked to you early in the season about, you bringing in older players. And at age 34, Paul George obviously is a name. But at age 34, is he a guy that you can count on being healthy? And the same with Embiid. When you talk about
sticking with that,
okay.
Paul George has had years where he's been very available. Last year being a good example, and your prior season is your best example, especially with older players lasting longer in the NBA. With Joel Embiid, you have to have a Joel Embiid to win the title. You have to have an elite guy, top 5, top 10 in the league at worst case. So that one, I say for sure you need a Joel Embiid. And then Tyrese, we'll leave him out. He's been fine. He's been very durable, and credit to him and the coaching staff and the young players who have stepped up to keep us afloat, to keep us in the race. And obviously the new changes to the playoffs were really designed for us. We're a team exactly designed for their new system they set up. A team that gets decimated by injuries now still has a chance to play their way in and make a lot of noise in the playoffs.
All right, at the start with Embiid, you gave him the extension with the proviso that medical staff said he'd be fine as long as you can manage it the right way. And you also said the same thing. You believe that, and you said multiple experts in the field said if you manage the symptoms over time, they will improve. Well, it didn't improve for him this year. So do we have a right to think that it's never going to improve, that he's always going to have swelling with his knee, and we've seen the best of him?
Very reasonable question. There's still time. I mean, he's back. He feels good. Obviously, we're at the point. I understand the worries and the questions, but we're at sort of, Missouri, the show me state. He's feeling better. We feel good about how he's going to be down the home stretch here, which was the focus. Obviously, we absolutely could have used him a lot more earlier, and that's been frustrating for Joel primarily, who's fighting every day to get out there. But at the end of the day, I understand the questions. I would have them too. It really comes down to let's see how it plays out.
It just seems that when he plays, and he plays well, and then the swelling comes back, and so I just think if we're counting on that to go into the playoffs, you can't really exist that way to win anything. If he's going to play a game and he's going to have swelling. I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to get around that.
Yeah, if that continues how it has, that will be frustrating. But again, I'd point out, what's your alternative plan? There's not another top 5 or 10 player who would give us a chance to win. So this is our best path. It is the best path for us to win a championship, is to continue to manage Joel, continue to have him on the team as he improves. I don't see another path that gives us what everyone in Philly wants, which is another 76ers championship.
I got that. You have to ride with Embiid, and you have really no choice. There's no other alternative but to hope and try to manage it and get through the whole thing. There was a control on your part, though, to surround him with role players. And I spoke to you the first day of training camp, and I asked you a question about don't you think you're loading up on role players that are too elderly? The same thing happened kind of last year, and these older role players really they set you back a little bit because they couldn't play many games together, and you had to rest them and whatever. Can you admit that you made a mistake relying on older role players?
Yeah, I think it's important in my role and our whole front office to be reflective, and I think that is a valid thing. That I'll just speak for myself. I got too focused on. We know that older role players generally impact the playoffs more, but what I should have factored in more is these periods where the players are out. They don't carry you through them as much as we needed. And so that's why at this deadline we got younger and more dynamic. I do think that is an area that I should have done a better job.
All right, one last question. We're talking to Daryl Morey, and I appreciate you coming on, Daryl. I know it's been a busy day for you. A lot of people say, well, you've given really no consideration to the fan value in coming to watch your games because it's all been let's manage the injuries. So those guys have to sit out. People are paying for tickets where they're not getting the product they paid for. Does that weigh on you as the president of basketball operations at all?
It does, absolutely. Those fans reach out to me. I'm pretty public in people's ability to send me messages through social media and stuff like that. So I see that. I talk directly to fans at games. It's tough when our players are questionable, and they truly are questionable, and we think they're likely to play that night, and they don't. That's really tough. I do think I have prioritized over that increasing our odds to win the championship, like we've discussed. And so I think it's a bit of a trade-off. I don't have an answer for that when they are listed questionable, and it's because they absolutely think they have a good chance to play. And then because of symptoms, he can't play. So I have empathy. I understand it. I think it's extremely hard. I don't have a good solution for that, except things that might lower our chance to win a championship by having different players that aren't, like we mentioned before, who just aren't as good but are more available. I just don't think that's the right path if your focus is winning a title for Philadelphia.
All right, last question. Should we expect, meaning the fan base and everybody who covers the Sixers or pays attention to the Sixers, should we expect that if you guys get into the playoffs, that this team would play well enough and surge well enough to actually be a contender that can beat the Clevelands or the Bostons or the New Yorks?
I think Cleveland for sure. We have to respect what they've done. Obviously, they we've split games with them, but they took it to us, and they've been a great team. I do think that's very likely our first round opponent if we play our way in. That will be a tough series. I know for a fact if I'm Cleveland, I'm very, very upset if they draw us in the first round. We are one of those teams that has happened recently can take out a number one seed.
And from there?
Well, if you can beat the number one seed, I think you have a really good shot to keep going.
Okay. Daryl, listen, I appreciate spending some time with us. You got a prediction for the Eagles game on Sunday?
I think Eagles win pretty handily.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just think it's their year. Really, really excited to watch the game.
All right. Thanks, Daryl. Best of luck to you.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
There he is, Daryl Morey. Listen. I hear the premise that you have a better chance to win with better players rather than lesser players who can play a lot. But maybe not, because I look around the league and there are a lot of young, energetic players now that are winning. in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think the simple solution is you find players that can play, but play at a high level. Why does it have to be mutually exclusive? Like, I understand what he's saying there. Well, I'd rather have good players than just bad players who can play. Why not find good players that can play?
And my fear is, and I get it, in the playoffs maybe you can beat Cleveland, I get it, but again, we're taking liberty with the fact that they're going to be available to play all these games in the playoffs. All right, let's take a break. 610-632-0975. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Hey, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos. It's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.